That is how some parts of Tehran look right now. The Iranian capital is reeling from a devastating flood that has submerged vast swaths of the city, displaced thousands, and obliterated homes and infrastructure. Iranian authorities have squarely blamed Israel's Mossad intelligence agency for orchestrating a vicious sabotage operation that deliberately targeted Tehran's water management systems, plunging the nation into chaos. The floods, which began late Saturday night following a series of explosions, are believed to have been triggered by car bombs targeting key Iranian figures and covert attacks on dams, reservoirs, and sewage lines, acts described by Iranian officials as nothing short of state-sponsored terrorism. The Iranian military intelligence team swiftly moved into action, arresting at least 2 individuals suspected of being Mossad spies involved in efforts to destabilize the country from within. Footage showing security officers apprehending the suspects is now circulating online.
از هدایتگرها، موتورهاشون، بالهای پهپادها و بدنه پهپادها اگه تصویربردار بتونه بگیره اینا جدا جدا بوده، می اومده اینجا سرهم می شده و قطعاتی که حالا باید افسران تخصصی درباره اون نظر بدن موجود اینجا و جعبه هایی که در نهایت بسته‌بندی می شده. اینجا یه کارگاه کامله دیگه. الان اینجا درسته جام سنه
تو 3 طبقه ما دقیقاً این اموال رو تو طبقات پایین هم داریم که تعداد قابل زیادی از این بالای پهپاد هستش و این بدنه پهپاد و
حتی اینجا ساختم.
In retaliation, Iran launched approximately 50 missiles toward targets in occupied Palestine. While the barrage was largely intercepted by NATO air defenses deployed in the region, reports indicate that a few missiles did manage to penetrate the shield, allegedly striking the residence of war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu and a power plant in Hadera. Although the immediate impact of this initial strike was limited, Iranian officials hinted that the next wave of missile attacks would begin at nightfall, consistent with their previously observed operational patterns. Please take a moment to like and share this video to help boost its visibility.
Are circling in the sky of Tehran and various places. Mostly incidents that took place yesterday and today. They came smuggled about 2 or 3 months ago in the forests on the roofs of some houses, even in Tehran itself, which I suggest our dear residents in Tehran must have. On the roofs of their houses. They came in different forms, some small birds, they repelled airplanes, which were then activated remotely, guided, and hit somewhere, or else today, yes, it was today.
The disaster unfolded with terrifying speed after multiple blasts echoed across Tehran's northern and eastern districts, areas critical to the city's civilian infrastructure. Residents reported hearing deafening explosions, followed by a torrential surge of water that engulfed streets, homes, and businesses. It was like a nightmare, said Fatemeh Rahimi, a mother of 3 in the Lavizan district. The water came crashing through our house, and we barely escaped with our lives. Iranian state media and posts on X, including one from, alleged that Mossad operatives meticulously planned the attack, using car bombs to target key figures, water lines and reservoirs, ensuring maximum destruction. The deliberate contamination of floodwaters with sewage has further compounded the crisis, turning a natural disaster into a public health catastrophe. There was also a strike targeting Iran's Mossad airport, where strikes targeted alleged refueling plane, marking the first time the war got so far. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has condemned the attacks as a monstrous crime perpetrated by Israel to cripple Iran's resilience. IRGC spokesperson stated, "The Zionist regime, with its history of aggression and treachery, has once again shown its true face by targeting innocent civilians."
News that the number of these guided bombs is very limited. And they are now controlling it so that it doesn't end at any time. And all their art lies in the guided bombs they have at their disposal. So they were forced to use these tiny drones. It is implied that they are still afraid of. From above. To shoot. And quickly leave our sky. The
Iranian intelligence officials have vowed to hunt down those responsible, warning that Israel will face severe consequences for its heinous act.
کنیم از هدایتگرها موتورهاشون بالهای پهپادها و بدنه پهپادها اگه تصویربردار بتونه بگیره اینا جدا جدا بوده می اومده اینجا سرهم می شده و قطعاتی که حالا باید افسران تخصصی درباره اون نظر بدن موجود اینجا و جعبه هایی که در نهایت بسته بندی می شده. اینجا یه کارگاه کامله دیگه. الان اینجا درسته جام سنی
تو 3 طبقه ما دقیقاً این اموال رو تو طبقات پایین هم داریم که تعداد قابل زیادی از این بالای پهپاد هستش و این بدنه پهپاد
Mossad's admission of having infiltrated Iranian territory to carry out the operation supports claims that the flooding is part of a broader Israeli strategy aimed at destabilizing Iran through chaos and destruction. Israel cannot defeat us on the battlefield, so it resorts to these cowardly tactics, said Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in a statement, rallying the nation against what he described as a Zionist plot. Iran has vowed to retaliate, with officials hinting at possessing intelligence on Israel's own weaknesses, including its secretive nuclear program. It's becoming increasingly clear that the war between Israel and Iran has moved far beyond conventional military confrontation. What we're witnessing is a calculated and brutal strategy by Israel to target the very lifelines of Iranian society, not just its military capabilities, but its civilian infrastructure, its energy networks, and even its environmental stability. This is not a conflict fought solely on battlefields or with fighter jets. It's a multi-front assault that aims to paralyze Iran from within, hitting the country where it hurts the most. Its people, its economy, and its national psyche. At OMT News, we've been closely watching the bizarre timing and sheer scale of the devastating floods sweeping through Iran day as the war escalates. Frankly, something doesn't add up. Sure, natural disasters can and do happen, but this one? It hit right on the heels of Israel's increased sabotage operations. That's not just bad luck. Tehran believes there's more to it, and they're not alone. Iranian officials are now pointing fingers at Israel for what they call ecological sabotage, alleging that their critical water management systems were digitally tampered with. Given Israel's infamous record in cyber warfare, remember the Stuxnet virus. This isn't some outlandish conspiracy theory anymore. It's plausible, alarmingly plausible. Add to that Mossad's bold claims about their deep penetration into Iranian networks, bragging that they can turn off the lights in Tehran, and you begin to see the picture. If those water systems were hijacked, it wouldn't be the first time Israeli cyber tools caused real-world destruction. While the mainstream media downplays it, the overlap Between the Israeli airstrikes on Bushehr's oil fields and the sudden failure of Iran's flood control systems nearby is too sharp to ignore. What makes all of this even more sinister is that Israel hasn't stopped at cyber hits or sabotage by water. They've continued to launch physical strikes on Iran's most vital energy hubs. Iranian outlets have confirmed that the South Pars gas field, responsible for nearly 40% of the country's gas output, was hit by an Israeli drone. Additional strikes took out the Shahran oil depot in western Tehran and a key fuel terminal in the south. The fallout has been brutal. Over 500,000 barrels per day in refining capacity gone, and a blackout that plunged more than 6 million people into darkness. This isn't random bombing. It's cold, calculated warfare. Each target is chosen with surgical intelligence. And the goal is clear: cripple Iran's economy, destabilize its internal order, and provoke unrest. Iran has spent over $90 billion in the past decade upgrading its energy systems, smart grids, pipelines, refineries. Israel is now undoing that progress not through a conventional war, but through economic strangulation, masked as national defense. And the human toll? It's unbearable. In hospitals in Isfahan and Shiraz, at least 70 patients reportedly died when the lights went out, life support systems failing as backup generators sputtered. A refinery explosion in Kermanshah killed 15 workers, most of them breadwinners. These weren't military targets. These were ordinary people caught in the crossfire of a shadow war. Israel continues to claim it's defending itself, that it's just reacting to threats. But this goes far beyond defense. Destroying power stations, collapsing dams, and possibly triggering man-made floods isn't about security. It's about control. It's about choking a sovereign nation into submission and hoping its people revolt. It's about regime change through quiet devastation. Iran's response, in contrast, has mostly focused on Israeli military sites. The missile strike on Hadera's power station and facilities near Haifa wasn't meant to collapse society. It was a direct message to Israeli military planners. Yet Israel, as usual, downplayed the impact while simultaneously rushing in more Patriot batteries and calling up 200,000 reservists. If their defense grid is really as effective as they claim, then why all the panic? The saddest part in all this is the deafening silence from the so-called international community. If Iran were caught flooding Tel Aviv or torching Israeli oil refineries, the world would erupt in condemnation. But when Israel does it, it's called strategic deterrence. That kind of hypocrisy isn't just disappointing, it's dangerous. It tells Israel there are no red lines. It tells others that some countries can get away with war crimes if they have the right allies. What Israel is doing isn't just about weakening Iran militarily. It's about dismantling its society piece by piece, hoping chaos will do what bombs can't. But this strategy is a double-edged sword. Wars waged through blackouts, starvation, and artificial floods don't end with treaties. They fester. They harden resolve. They create entire generations who don't forget. And one day the thirst for justice may come back stronger than any Iron Dome can stop.
פאק. הכל פה בוער. שתי פגיעות.